Okay, for our drained angle of friction, we use now sine drained angle of friction is equal to the radius all over, because we're considering this triangle, so that is angle of friction equal to 80 all over 176, so our drained angle of friction is equal to 27.03 degrees. So we move on now to unconsolidated and drained test. So for this test, drainage is not allowed at any stage, not even during the application of the chamber pressure. This allows the test to be performed quickly, as even the consolidated and drained test requires draining when the chamber pressure is applied. Hence, the pore water pressure U in the specimen at any stage of the greater stress application can be given by this expression. So in unconsolidated and drained test, we don't permit the drainage during the application of the chamber pressure sigma sub 3. So the test specimen is sheared to failure by the application of our deviator stress, and the drainage still is prevented. Because drainage is not allowed at any stage, the test can be performed quickly. Because of the application of the chamber confining pressure sigma sub 3, the pore water pressure in the soil specimen will increase by U sub C. A further increase in the pore water pressure will occur because of the deviator stress application. So we can have our pore water pressure, which is equal to this equation. So pore water pressure is equal to the Skempton's parameters. You have the presence of the Skempton's parameters for the total pore water pressure for unconsolidated and drained test. So the test is usually used on cohesive clay specimen. The test depends on the added axial stress of failure being mostly independent of the chamber pressure. So for this condition, our phi is equal to 0. So for this one, we don't have the value for our phi, because this is usually for cohesive clay specimen. So our phi here is equal to 0. Of course, we have a value for our cohesion. So for our phi when equal to 0, so we get our shear strength would be equal to C, or that is equal to C sub U, which is our undrained shear strength, and is equal to the radius of the Mohr circle. So for the major and principal stresses at failure, so our effective major principal stress equal to total principal stress minus our pore water pressure at failure, and our effective minor principal stress is equal to the total minor principal stress subtracted by the pore water pressure at failure. So phi is equal to 0 is only applicable to saturated clay and silt. So basically, we move on now to unconfined compression test on saturated clay. So the unconfined compression test is an unconsolidated and drained test with a confining pressure sigma sub 3, which is equal to 0. So in this test, when confining pressure is equal to 0, an axial load is rapidly applied to the specimen to cause failure. At failure, the total minor principal stresses is 0, and the total major stresses is sigma sub 1, because the undrained shear strength is dependent on the confining pressure as long as the soil is fully saturated and fully undrained. So we have the value for our shear strength, which is equal to sigma sub 1 all over 2, or that is equal to unconfined compression strength all over 2, which is equal actually to C sub U. So our unconfined compression test gives slightly lower values of C sub U than unconsolidated and drained test. So we have here a table showing the general relationship of consistency and unconfined compression strength of clays. So this one is an illustration for unconfined compression test. Our confining pressure is equal to 0, so sigma sub 3 is equal to 0. We only have the application of our deviator stress sigma sub 1. So therefore, our cohesion would be equal to the radius. So we have here a sample problem. An unconfined compression test was carried out on a saturated clay sample. The maximum load the clay sustained was 127 Newton, and the vertical displacement is 0.8 millimeters. The size of the sample was 38 mm diameter by 76 mm long. So we're going to calculate the axial strain of the soil sample and calculate the major principal stress of failure. Calculate the undrained shear strength of the soil sample. So basically, we're going to compute first for the axial strain. Of course, axial strain is equal to the change in height all over h, or this refers to the vertical displacement, which is 0.8 all over the height of the specimen, which is 76. So our axial strain is equal to 0.010526 mm per mm. So we're going to compute for the major principal stress at failure. So we have to compute first for our area, initial area, which is given by, we have given with 38 mm diameter. So you get the area of 0.001134 meters squared. So the area at failure would be equal to the initial area all over 1 minus axial strain. So it gives us 0.001146 meters squared. So the major principal stress of failure, sigma sub 1 is equal to 127 over 0.01146. So this one, sigma sub 1 is equal to our load, which is 127, all over our area at failure. So it gives us 100,814 Pascal. And this is our undrained major principal stress. So since we don't have, this is sigma sub 1, since we don't have a confining pressure, sigma sub 3 is equal to 0. So this is our figure for our problem. So therefore, if we try to get our the value of the undrained shear strength of the soil sample, so that is actually equal to our radius, which is equal to, you have here sigma sub 3 is 0, sigma sub 1 is 110.8. So if we try to get the radius, this is the center, so you get the radius of 55.4. So this is also 55.4, that is the radius. So therefore, our shear stress, undrained shear strength is 55.4 kilopascal. Now we move on to the empirical relationship between undrained cohesion and effective overburden pressure. Several empirical relationships exist between C sub u and sigmas of O prime. So the most commonly cited was given by Skempton for normally consolidated clay. So this is his relationship for undrained cohesion and effective overburden pressure. And of course, we have here our P sub I, of course, it is equal to our elasticity index, and this one, C sub u, is the undrained shear strength from the Veig shear test. So it is for shear strength of unsaturated cohesive soil. So it is not possible to determine the effective stresses in unsaturated soil specimen with ordinary equipment. So basically, for shear strength of unsaturated cohesive soil, we cannot use ordinary triaxial equipment for laboratory testing. So it is not possible to determine accurately the effective stresses in unsaturated soil specimen. So the common practice is to conduct an undrained triaxial test on unsaturated specimen and measure only the total stress. So the failure envelope is generally curved. So the higher confining pressure causes higher compression of the air in void spaces. So that's one. This is a variation of the total stress failure envelope with change of the initial degree of saturation obtained from an undrained test of an organic clay. So the shear stress of failure decreases as the degree of saturation increases. So the strength of partially saturated soil should not be used for the design because it may become saturated by rainfall. In practical cases where a cohesive soil deposit may become saturated because of rainfall or a rise of the groundwater table, the strength partially saturated clay should not be used for design construction. Instead, the unsaturated soil specimen collected from the field must be saturated in the laboratory and the undrained strength determined. So we move on now to stress path. So a stress path is a diagram represents the results of a triaxial test. So the stress path is a line that connects a series of points, each of which represent a successive stress state experienced by a soil specimen during the progress of a test. So there are several ways in which a stress path can be drawn. So this one is an illustration for a stress path. We have plotted our P prime against our Q prime, which is our P prime is our normal stress and our Q prime is our shear strength for a consolidated drain triaxial test on a normally consolidated plane. So, stress path, according to Lambe, suggests that plots Q prime against P prime, where Q prime and P prime are the coordinates of the top of the Mohr circle, can be expressed in this equation. So P prime is equal to the effective stresses, major principal stress and minor principal stress all over 2, and our Q prime is equal to effective stresses of the major principal stress minus the minor principal stress all over 2. So a modified failure envelope may be defined using the top of the Mohr circle. So we can have Q prime is equal to P prime tangent of alpha, and the angle of modified failure envelope is related to the angle of friction, which is equal to sine P prime is equal to tangent of alpha. So this is a figure showing the relationship between the effective angle of friction and our alpha. So that ends our discussion for shear strength. So basically, shear strength is an important parameter in soil mechanics that identifies the properties of a certain soil, which is necessary to identify the slope stability, the bearing capacity of a certain soil on a certain site in which you're going to construct your structure, whether horizontal or vertical. So basically, shear strength is, we have to identify the shear strength of the soil so that we could identify and we could predict the slope stability and the bearing capacity of that particular site, on that particular sample that you're going to construct your structure to avoid damage and to maintain safety and stability of our structure. Thank you.